Hoboken Housing Authority Chairwoman Wefer gave Hudson County View an update on the HHA earlier this week, explaining what initiatives have taken place since Acting Executive Director Robert DiVincent took over in August.
Director DiVincent has come in and he's really gone gangbusters, and I give him a lot of credit because it's an awful lot of work to do in a short period of time. But we put together a budget, a fiscally responsible budget. We are implementing a new preventative maintenance program. We're implementing new programs for the staff for training, and we're implementing a new program to keep track of inventory and work orders so that residents will see improved services. People have been coming to the meetings and been very vocal about the things that are going on in the buildings, which is great. I'm so happy that people are coming to talk about this, and it's made it very clear that there's issues responding to work orders, there's issues with turnaround on inventory and having the parts, so those are the main things we're focusing on right now.
Furthermore, Wefer provided clarity on what is being done to repair broken elevators and to install new generators that have been sitting in the parking lot for over a year.
So the elevators are under better control now. As you'll probably recall, when we first got in, it turned out that we didn't have an elevator contract at all, and we apparently owed the elevator contractor $120,000. So we've entered into a new contract with state contractor Slade. I believe we also still have a contract with Schindler as well, so that we sort of have a backup if there's an issue. The elevators are always going to be problematic because the buildings are old and the parts are obsolete. But we've formed a really good working relationship with Slade. They've been very responsive. They've been very good about preventative maintenance too, because for a while the elevator shafts weren't being cleaned out, which was leading to some of the problems. So we went in, started doing that, and we're trying to get back on track with the elevators so we get a quick response time, but more importantly than that, we're doing preventative maintenance, which will halt a lot of these issues. And with regard to the generators, unfortunately, what we found is that we don't have the funds to install all of the generators, and we certainly don't have the funds to install them at the level that was originally anticipated, where it would provide power to the entire building. But Director DiVincent's been very good about finding the money so that we can do it in phases. All of the buildings are now and will be protected. In the event of an emergency, they'll have power in the community rooms and there'll be emergency lighting. But the reality of the generators is that the funds just aren't there to install them. So it's something that we're working on. It's something that Director DiVincent and the staff are working on.
Wefer later explained that the first phase of installation would likely involve 6 of the 14 generators being utilized. Additionally, Wefer elaborated on the new $15 million HHA budget approved at the October 9th meeting, essentially the same figure as last year's operating budget.
Well, the budgets are sort of an interesting thing because we actually have two budgets. We have the federal budget and the state budget. And one really tricky thing in this budget was that we had to find money for security, because security usually comes out of the capital fund. And since we can no longer do that, we had to find money in the operating fund. So we got money in there for security. We have money in there for some capital projects. But it's a very, very tight budget. It's a tight budget. We really need to tighten our belts and make sure that we're not having any unnecessary expenditures.
I know you don't have it right in front of you, but what's the number for this year's budget compared to last year's approximately?
It's about the same. It's about $15 million.
Wefer concluded by stating that the HHA was unlikely to get a favorable review from HUD when they come to assess the authority later this fall.
I know that people are looking into what's going on at the HHA. I know that HUD is coming in the fall again to do their REAC and FAS physical substandard review, which unfortunately we're almost definitely going to be designated as a troubled housing authority just because of our finances alone. So that's going to be an issue. But we're focusing on moving forward.
I'm John Heides with the Hudson County View, the eye of the community.